Hello, my friends. John LaRuffa here with another Straight Up Solo. In this episode, we're going to take a look at Saltfjord. All right, let's go ahead and get started. All right, folks, and as usual, if you haven't, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you have, I really do appreciate the support. So this is kind of what it looks like when you're getting to the third phase of the game, and this game is played in 3 phases. What is this game about? This game is about activating your your board basically to get resources, using those resources either to fund technology improvements, which ultimately meet better scores, fulfilling contracts, which will get you scores at the end, but also give you extra actions, going out fishing to try to catch either resources or points, depending on the strength of the fishing hole you're able to go to, and building buildings into your player area to make the activation of the rows and columns more effective. Okay, and so that's basically what you've got going on here. And in the solo mode, there is no AI or automata to play against. What you're doing is you're basically playing against a constraint, and also you're trying to, achieve a matrix of points here. So the constraint is you have to choose you just randomly get 2 of these score tiles at the beginning of the game, and you have to score at least 10 points of each. But these 10 points do not count towards your score of the 100 it takes to actually win. So you have to be able to accomplish these, which provides some tension in the game. And then, of course, you have to get the right score, and you have to do it in such a way that you try to beat your own score. Depending on these, you can do different achievements and other things. So that's kind of cool. But it's very easy to do the solo mode. The only other thing that solo mode does is you put dice down in these spaces where this is kind of like the end game or the end of round retire action. And I'll show you right now. You're going to roll the dice, and you're going to randomly assign these dice from right to left because the right spaces are a little better. And you're only allowed to take that retirement action if there are no dice on there. So basically what that means is if you want to take the better actions on the right, you got to take and use those dice over there first sometime in the round. Now, on the turn, you basically have 2 different things you can do. You could take a die and activate the column or the row depending on the color. So the column would be if it's a white die, the row would be if it's an orange die. You're only allowed to take up to 3 white dice per round, and you're only allowed to take 1 orange die per round number. So in the 4th round or the 3rd round, like I have here, and in the solo game, you got a little bit of a variation on how many dice you use to provide more blocking. This is what it looks like. Okay, now when you use a die, it's going to activate all of the yellow or I guess that's yellowish orange or red buildings on your area, but it won't activate these boardwalk spaces. The boardwalk spaces can only be activated when you complete a column or a row, or if you have a technology unlocked for your wagon, and the wagon is in advanced. It's not really advanced. It's just a different variant you can play where you place this spot with a wagon, which moves around, does some other things. All right, so what does it look like over here with this resource thing? Well, the resource boards are a little bit different in this game in that you have to upgrade from one spot to another, and it keeps you kind of lane based. So a fish can always be upgraded with the upgrade action, which is found all over the place, or by paying 2 fish to any of the 3 goods. But then once you have a wood, a grain, or a scroll, it has to stay in that lane unless you have a special ability to go to the next one. So to get from here to here, you have to go. You can't go like a wood to a book. It's got to be a scroll to a book, and a wheat to a bag of food, and a log to some lumber. And eventually you can get to gold, which is wild. And you can always sell these things for fish if you need to fish before, and you can always downgrade them for free. And what am I using most of these things for? Well, so the wood and the lumber are how you're going to afford to get these buildings, which you're going to improve this area right here, which makes your dice activations better. All of these things show up in contracts that you need, including the fish, and that's an important part of scoring in the game and giving yourself bonus actions at the end. And then you're going to use the rest of the resources too to cross over through these technology steps, all right? And as you step up, you get more points, and if you get to the end locations here, you get maybe boatloads of points depending on the end game conditions. So there's not too much going on. It's not like a lot going on, but this game, based on how the dice activate in the order you take it, can be a little AP inhibited. If you have a tough time with AP and you worry about that, this game does trigger some of that. So I kind of feel like this game is actually pretty simple to play, but when you go to decide which actions you want to take, it can stump you for a little bit. But I'm not going to let myself get stumped. I'm just going to demonstrate a couple things. So I rolled those, all right, and now I have a choice. Again, I can build a big building or I can take a die. Well, I can't afford a big building right now unless I was to upgrade this fish to get a log or to get a log from any of these activations. So how would I do that? Well, you have a 4 out here because I could activate this column or this row, and I don't have a 4. However, I do have a special ability. Normally in the game, you could pay 1 fish to move a die, down a pip or 2 or 3 for multiple fish or up, etc. My special ability is I just have to pay 1 fish. I can go to any number I want, which is kind of cool. That's the starting ability I have. So I could potentially do that. I could change that 5 into a 4, and I'm going to do that just because I want to move things along. So we're going to change. Actually, I'm going to change this 6 into a 4 because I want this space at the end. So I move it here. I get the wood. Or the log, whatever. I move it here and I can fulfill a contract or I can move up. And really, I'll probably end up fulfilling a contract. Can I do that? No, I really can't unless I move back down. Well, that's kind of a bummer. Again, the AP part. I hate to not go up. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go down, even though I just got this log. I'm going to turn it into a fish for free. I'm going to move up here, and this is going to give me a guy I can use to activate a building at any time on my turn, a free action. And theoretically, I guess I could have done that beforehand, do the other things. But again, that's the AP we're talking about here. So then we got this. We'll move over here. And there we go. So that move has been done. That's my turn. Now, I still want a log because I still want to build one of those big buildings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this here, and I'm going to take that log. All right, that's a free action. Now, for another turn, I'm going to take this B action where I can change in the log and the lumber to take one of these large buildings. And I need to get a large building because I've got to build up. I got to get this thing going, this condition over here. Right now I have a 3x3 for 7, but I need it to be a 4x4. And the best way to do that is probably to snag this. And I don't believe putting this here will activate it when I put it under there. I can't remember. I'd have to look it up. I think it does say, but I'm not going to worry about slowing down right now to check that out. So I do that, and then I have to discard 1 just as a nuance of the solo. Okay. Now, I'm really poor on resources, and one of the things I have to do, and this is a very tough situation here, is I've got to find orders that are worth at least 4, and I've got to get 3 of those to be able to get over the amount. Actually, I got to get 4 of those. Pardon me. The problem is I only have 2, and that's a bit of a tough one because these are randomly distributed. So, let's do this. Let's take this 2. Nope, that's a dumb one. That's a dumb idea. 5, maybe? 5 only gets me to fish. This 5 doesn't do anything. This 3 is probably the way to go. So I'm going to take this 3 right here. I'm going to go to a fishing action. I'm going to actually move out further, and I can't fish from the nicer spots yet because I didn't get this activated. So I just have to do this. And I can draw 2 and choose 1. So we're going to draw 2, choose 1. Well, they're all the same. So there we go. Put this one that I didn't choose back under here. All right. And then the upgrade. So I will upgrade this now to score some more points. And then fishing again, I'm going to come out here. And now I can at least fish from this area. It's a little better. Draw 2, fish 1. That's 3 fish or 2 more of these. And I'm really trying to go for this, so I'll probably go for these. But the 3 fish isn't bad because I need a lot of fish to do other things. especially this one right here. So I'll probably take the 3 fish. Okay. Now these stay in my boat until I return. So one of the fishing action is you can decide to return and get all these things that you've got over here. And when you return, you get the points from that area. All right, so you can kind of see the way this goes. All right, now I'm not going to keep playing the round. I just wanted to show you what it looked like and how it felt. The other thing that you got to understand is when you retire, you're going to take whatever action that you take on there that's finished. But then you also get to take each of these bonus actions for each crate, and these are flipped up only because I wanted to remember the condition here. But for each crate you have here, you get to take a bonus. Plus, at the end of the game, if you have columns of all of them, they also score you some extra points, which is good. It's 3 points per column. And so there's lots of ways to score, but this is one big giant puzzle. It's one big giant if this then that, if this then that. And these dice will block spaces that can't be used again. So sitting here, they cannot be used. Like if I was to try to activate a 4, I couldn't use this space or this space. So you get some cloggage there that you got to deal with. All right. So that gives you a good feel. Let me tell you what I think about it. So as a solo game, Saltfjord, I think, is a very fun addition to my collection. It's highly puzzly. It's got a lot of interesting interactions, but it's bite-sized. It feels like once you have learned the game, you will remember how to play for the most part. Even if you leave it for a while. And I like that. I like that the rule set is somewhat simple, but the ability to do well is a challenge. I'll say this about the solo constraint. I like that tension. I really do. I don't know if all the contracts are fair in certain ways like that, because like the one I've got right now that I was playing and showing you, if those orders don't come up, I might get a lot of orders and churn and everything else. But if I can't find 4-point or greater orders, it may be impossible to win. So that's something that you might consider when you draw those things and say, this one's too circumstantial, I'm going to draw a different one. But besides that, it's very, very cool. It's a very fun game. I like Santa Maria, but for whatever reason, it didn't stay in my collection. I don't remember why. I guess I just didn't like it enough, maybe. But this one definitely feels like a keeper for me. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I sold Santa Maria. And I don't remember all of the differences between that and this game. But this one just feels like it is a more complete experience, I guess. And I think it's for me that one of the things, and maybe there's parts of Santa Maria that were like this, I just don't remember, but I like the fact that I feel compelled to fish, and that fishing gives me the delayed rewards. And I love the idea of building my area up, which the other one did have that for sure. And the smarter I can be about that, the stronger my turns can be. And I also like the idea that the more contracts I fulfill, the more actions I get. So it seems like if you can get that engine rolling, it can, start to really generate some momentum, which is really cool. And that's how you're going to, get to the point where you're really cooking with gas. You're getting up there in the higher levels. You're actually succeeding in winning the game, which I think is really cool. And I think that's fun. This game, trying to think about nuances, the activation of the columns and rows is I think, fairly unique for this style of game. And so that's what it's got going on that's different than the usual contract fulfillment and, just fishing, so to speak, and such. The rest of the ideas are pretty simple, but I also like how you can put together a better run for those dice. And also the technology feels like it does encourage you to try to maximize as much as you can, because you're going to get some serious scoring if you can get yourself all together. So one thing that's fun about this game, I think, is that it's kind of in the beginning, it's a perfect information about your strategy, but there's not a perfect information about how it's all going to go, because there's just too much factor to think about it. You don't know what you're going to get with the fishes. You don't know what you're going to get with the contracts. So that keeps things fresh and being able to be just mathed out. So I don't think this is a game that you can solve, which is good, because puzzly games have the trap, I guess, that some of them that aren't well done can be solved, and then it's not a puzzle anymore. It's just, I do this and I score well. So this game does not have that. In general, I just really like it. I think it's a lot of fun. I highly recommend checking out if you like these types of games, this medium weight kind of thing. If you don't like juggling a lot of ifs and nats in your brain, this probably isn't going to be a great game for you. Just trying to figure out which dice and how do I do it and where is the dice going to stop and what do I need first. That is a lot to swirl around. It's not overly complicated. It's just a really big decision space. I'll put it that way. So either way, I hope this video was helpful for you. I certainly like the game. I'm going to keep it for sure and play it on a regular basis. And thankfully, the rules. Oh, and by the way, I would say the rule book is done pretty well. They have good examples, which is great. And I appreciate the appendix that just shows you everything you need to know from an icon standpoint. So it makes it really easy on the 2 pages to set that next to you. And you don't have to memorize all the stuff. Although the iconography is not that tough, it's just good to have that, especially there. It's like, I don't even have to worry about learning the iconography. I just look it up. There's one less thing I got to keep in my brain, and it makes the ability to jump back into the game after a little while that much simpler. So thanks again for watching. I really appreciate everybody. And whatever you do in the future, I really hope you have a fantastic time doing it. Take it easy.